Speaking of, and I don't want to assume, but I'm sure, over the past 20 years, you have been a student just as much as you've been a teacher. So walking away from Elite Retreat, what are those few takeaways that you took away that you wanted to get started, implement into the business day one post Elite Retreat?
I think the biggest thing for me would be two things. Number one, I think I affirmed the value of agent-agent relationships and agent-agent referrals, where I already know, like, we have a lot of agent opportunities that come in from referral partners like yourself around the country, which has been so cool, but we send out a lot of content, and I don't know, bro, like, I'm not exaggerating, a couple hundred agents I felt like over the few days come up to me and thank me for the content that we send out. I'm like, wow, people really are getting value from this and resonating with it. It just affirmed that, okay, this is a really good play. So we came back and revamped our entire agent campaigns that we send out, of adding video to it, just kind of updating the content to be a little bit more relevant in today than maybe some old stuff that we had in there. That was probably mission critical, number one that we wanted to do. And then number two, I think with the talk that I gave and just the way we do business, just saying it in front of everybody, again, just reminded me that we're really, really good at what we do, but we don't do a good enough job telling the world about it up front. So the way that we figure out all the value we bring to the table, how do we package it into a marketing message to a seller or a buyer on, just you don't save it for the dining room table, right, to tell them what we do, like Tom says. We need to figure out a way to get that message out. And I've talked to a couple clients these last few days. One of them, this poor guy's stuck in a listing contract, having an absolutely terrible experience, has bought a home in Texas, has to perform there, his back's against the wall, he's super stressed out. And I just feel so bad. It's like these people he didn't know there was a better option 6 weeks ago, or he would have hired us. Yep. And if I truly care about families, then I have a moral obligation to make sure they know what we do for a living and how good we are at it. And that's what we got to get better at.
Yeah. Just to give you a little backstory about us is I've only been doing real estate for it's coming up on 3 years actually. This July will be 3 years. Cool. I moved home March 1st, 2020. Shit hit the fan with COVID. Yeah. And actually in the state of Michigan, the whole state pumped the brakes for licensing. So we actually had to kind of prolong our time until we got licensed. Before that, I did medical device sales, so plates and screws, orthopedic implants, shoulders, tips of your fingers, cutthroat stuff. So coming into real estate, well, one, med device, I was begging for Fridays and I was scared of Mondays. Nowadays, I don't know what day it is anymore. My mom's been doing real estate for about 20 years now. It always made sense to kind of come home and incorporate myself back into the business. It was more or less just a timing thing. March 1st, 2020, that was the time. Getting involved in her business, and last year, just for reference or reference point, last year we did 82 units. Our price per unit is closer to $400,000, but 82 units and just over $33 million. That's a lot of business for great. 2 individuals and 2 admins. But seeing how she does business is apparent in obviously our referrals, our continued business, but telling that story has been the biggest thing for us, or at least what I'm trying to accomplish. A lot of people know about us, and we're probably 80% referral based. So to your point, the one thing I took away without a doubt was how we incorporate a better customer experience from start to finish on listings without doing anything really differently. Besides having those touch points throughout that process, so when they walk away, and I think you used a restaurant analogy, the food's the food, and a lot of places you go to, the customers are coming back for that experience.
Right.
And that was my biggest takeaway from you. But then to see more of what you guys are doing and how you're telling your story, those are the things I kept wanting to take away from. A little more of what you guys are trying to revamp and push forward on. So telling that story.
Cool. Awesome, man.
Yeah. I know what you're doing, and I have a little blurb I'm going to incorporate into the beginning of this podcast. But just so the viewers know, well, what are you currently doing? What's that business look like? Obviously, you're in real estate. You've been doing it for 20 years now. But if you're talking to somebody on the street, what do you tell them for what Matt's doing?
Yeah, so I'd say we're a small team, lean and mean, but we are like you. We're 80% based on referral, but we are committed to delivering the most extraordinary experience in real estate. Period. Not just Las Vegas, but I believe what we do is second to none in the country. And we get incredible results. Our brand speaks for itself, and so does our track record. But what we've learned to be true is no matter what result I get for you or your home sale or purchase, our clients' experience will rise and fall to the level of communication they receive. And at the end of the day, uncertainty brings anxiety. We're going to communicate with our clients at an incredibly high level, throughout the entire transaction to make sure that at any given point, you know exactly where we are, where we're going, and you have a clear path forward. And that combined with, home run outcomes on your purchase or sale, that's going to result in an extraordinary experience, which builds my brand and gets you better results. Everybody wins.
Yeah. Say that line again. Uncertainty creates anxiety.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. And again, I'm sure that you've incorporated that into your business from day one and doing things without ever thinking to do them. But your 30-day step plan, when did you start incorporate that into your business to actually, teach your team members exactly what we're going to do? Was there a point in time when you actually put that onto paper?
To elaborate on that, we have multiple step plans for multiple things. So for example, I don't have it in front of me, but we have a 31-step plan just to get your home to the market. It's our listing plan. So we've really just tried to take every part of an experience with a buyer or seller from beginning to end and beyond. Like client experience goes way beyond the closing. I mean, we're talking a whole plan built around, past clients in Sphere with pop buys and home anniversaries and birthdays and friends and family events and surprise and delight and newsletters and all that stuff. Everything's got a plan. So it's just each part of our business, how do we operationalize it? Like, how do we make it repeatable and scalable? Because when we really started to level up the client experience, what we found is we were doing some really great things, but it was very difficult to scale and make it repeat. But once you start building this brand of, okay, wow, this team really takes care of their people or likes to, have these wow closing experiences, for example, well, now there becomes an expectation. So you need to have the systems and processes in place to actually deliver that expectation consistently. Yeah. So we've had to change a lot of things over the years too, because sending somebody, when they come up to their home to a red carpet closing and they cut the ribbon and then we do a video inside and they go out into the limousine and go out to dinner, that's not repeatable and scalable. Like, we did it quite a few times and it was amazing, but if you got a handful of closings in a day, like, that becomes a really difficult juggling act, you know what I mean? So we've had to test and get rid of certain things that we do along the way, but it's really just been kind of one thing at a time. And like I said at the talk, Chris, is like, build the plane as you fly it, to where, like, if I have a new buyer today and I'm like, okay, I do all these things anyways, we need to just create a system that we can duplicate here. Well, now when I write this email to Joe Buyer, I'm going to try and write that in such a way that's usable again for Mike Buyer next time or whoever, so I can just try and create these templates and not have to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, our Tom Ferry coach, and I'm going to butcher the line, but he goes, to do anything at a high level there has to be a system and a process in place. Point being, and that's the one thing, I guess, if I brought my mom in here right now, she would say, I don't know, I just do it. And that's been over the past 3 years to try to dissect and figure out exactly what she's doing and how we can make that repeatable, scalable, and actually put it on paper. We have 2 support staff, my wife, which is kind of more or less our director of ops, and then my aunt, who is more or less one of our admins, our TC, our contract to close type individual, and that's who we're going to incorporate a lot of what your takeaways from your talk were, but actually getting those things onto paper and get it repeatable is the name of our game. And I couldn't agree more. And I'm not just saying this, but after hearing what you were talking about, I think a lot of people think that they're doing those things, but I don't think they're doing it to the level that you guys are actually doing it on paper, consistently, repeatably, client to client. It might be a one-off here or there, which I'm sure we are as well. But when it comes to an actual consistent step A to step Z, how many people are actually doing that across the country? Probably not too many.
Well, and I think here's what some agents are gonna find out is, so the talk that you're referring to, I talked about basically, it's as simple as getting on your computer, get a Google sheet in front of you or Excel document, and just kind of map out, let's just talk about marketing a home, right? If I'm gonna list your home today, here's everything I'm gonna do to launch that listing and market your home. You just lay it all out there. And now let's strategically space out those touch points in communication to where you're constantly getting updates of what I'm doing to market your home, the feedback, the results, the campaign, the link I promised you, all those things, instead of one loaded email like you're going to glaze over, or waiting till I need a price reduction and then trying to justify everything I've done for that price reduction. Strategically space that out. But what I do think many agents will realize is they have a terrible marketing plan. Like, if you can't come up with 3 weeks worth of content, that means you're not doing enough to market your client's home.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily as easy as, the picture I paint. It's because we already do an extraordinary job marketing our client's home. The combination of that with this type of plan, now you're a freaking rock star, right? So I think it's not as easy for some. And I also want to mention something you said about your mom of 20 years, because I think I struggle with this, is, like I say all the time, I'm not into scripts and dialogues. Like I'm not, like, that's not true. Your mom and I have just internalized it over 20 years. Like, we have scripts and dialogues, we just don't realize it. So there's so many things she says, why just do it? Well, yeah, but how do we teach our agents to just do it? It's like, we got to figure out how to dissect this thing, right?
Even as like not lame or as little, but when we joined the business or the company, she never even had a CRM. And not that a CRM is going to make or break, and you can have an Excel or a Google Doc to be your quote-unquote CRM or your touch points, but we didn't even have a CRM. So when I'm having conversations with other agents locally in the community, they're like, time out, how does she do this? And I go, guys, I have no idea. Well, and I digress, we do know what we're doing. We do know how we do it. But to be able to teach somebody else to do it, that's where we got to get it out of that brain and onto paper. And that's been the name of the game for the past probably 2 years or so, and it's still a work in progress, so we're having fun.
Sounds like she's very thankful to have you, bro. That's awesome.
She and to that point, Matt, like, we're having a lot of fun. Your wife is in the brokerage, correct?
My wife, so I own the brokerage with a partner. I run my little team here. My partner that I own Crown Point Realty with has her little team too. My wife helped me build the business, but once we had kid number 2 of 3, she kind of stepped out. So she does. Here's what she does. So she does our books and everything like that, accounting, but we do a lot for client experience for our clients. Part of her job is making sure we wow our administrative team and our sales partners like we wow our clients. So it's hard to do all these things for all these clients that our staff is doing for people without them feeling the love too. So Leslie's job is to love on our team.
Yeah, and someone's got to be doing it, because a happy employee is a good employee, and a happy employee is an employee that's going to stay with you for a long time. With that being said, I believe you have 3 admins that are kind of like the brains of the operation. They've been with you a long time. I think. Have they been with you a good amount of time?
So one of them, Kristen, who's been with me for about 10 years. Yeah, so she's kind of the lead of that team, or she call her our operations manager, but dude, in this business, like, they're all unicorns. She's our team coordinator, our client experience manager, our operations manager, our IT gal. Like, she's just all these hats, because we're not these Fortune 500 companies that can hire 10 different people for all these different things. So but she's been with me for 10 years, and then Molly and Zella have both been with me for a little over a year, but not that long. So, but I haven't even, like, most people don't realize this about us, but I was your friendly neighborhood realtor for years. I got sidetracked by the REO game. I did a lot of REOs and HUDs, and then I started the brokerage. So I was growing the brokerage and mentoring agents and still trying to, help my clients on the side. It's truthfully only been about 3 years that I went all in on Team Farnham. So the team thing's truthfully new for me. We're kind of building the plane as we fly it, so. But I really got the right people on the bus in the right seats about 1.5 years ago, which are these 3 gals, and I'm happy to elaborate on what they do if you want me to. But man, they're amazing women, and I'm so excited about who we are and where we're going.
where I was going with that too is my wife, like I said, director of ops, but she's not just the director of ops. She does a lot of other things. Any content we put out, she's getting it off to the people that's going to be editing those things. She does all of our content creation, all of our digital marketing, all of our. She's doing all the digital design. Like, she does everything, and she might say she does it for free. Obviously, my income is her income at the end of the day, but she does everything. And, when it comes down to it, when me and Pat need something, it's not, hey, this is how you can do it. It's, hey, this is what I need. Can you figure out how to do it? And within 30 minutes, she's absolutely done. Without her, I don't think we'd be able to do anything, honestly. I don't think at this point in time, me and Pat have the ability to write purchase agreements. And I don't know if I should be saying that out loud, but, I'm out running and gunning on the buy side. Pat's doing the listing docs. And, we're getting everything to Hannah to be able to work those systems and that paperwork coming in from both sides, buy and sell side, all behind the scenes, and we wouldn't be able to do what we can do or efficiently is what we're doing without Hannah. And you've lived that life. Where I was going with that as well is people always make me laugh when it comes to family businesses. They're like, that's awesome. I go, well, it definitely takes a unique family dynamic to be able to make these things work. And we're having a lot of fun. And we've been doing it for 3 years. And the evolution of where we started to where we're going, even like new life at 62 years old, doing it for 20 years, this new life that Pat has is really cool to see. And I'm excited to kind of see where the future takes us. And even like you said as well, like this new, team dynamics is very new for you. And you've been doing real estate for a long, long time. So what the future holds, exciting stuff. With that being said, where do you see your future at Team Farnham? What does that team look like in 10 years? Is it bigger? Is it smaller? Do you like the lean and mean mentality?
Yeah, that's a great question and one I'm excited to answer, actually. So I really feel like I'm very passionate about my faith. That probably came out in the talk a little bit, but like God's had me on a journey in the last year of just really getting clarity around, like you've heard Tom Ferry teach on it. Tom will say, what's your purpose in life? And then the second question he asks is, what are your God-given talents, right? And I've wrestled with this for a while. Like, what are my God-given talents? Selling real estate is not a God-given talent. Like, I'm good at it because I'm passionate about it. I enjoy it. I want to win. I care about my clients, but that's not a unique ability, right? So I just really went through this journey of really just trying to seek clarity on what are my unique abilities and God-given talents, and those are leadership, communication, and encouragement. And I now have clarity on what those are. So now if I'm going to work in my unique ability, what does that mean for me? And what that means is, and at the same time, Chris, I've really kind of gone through this journey where, I'm 40 years old. I'm not an old guy, but I've been doing this 20 years, and call it like not a midlife crisis, but it's like, okay, man, like, what's my why? Like, I've already, praise God, experienced things that I would have never thought was possible 19 years ago and what we've seen happen through this business. But now what's the purpose? Why am I working so hard? And I've really just gone through this journey where, man, and we updated our mission, our values, but we're loving Las Vegas through real estate. And part of this journey was a partner that we have called the Hub Las Vegas, but it's our city engagement partner. And bro, they're making an incredible impact in our city through the lens of foster care, homelessness and poverty, human trafficking and sexual exploitation, which Vegas is ground zero for that out here, unfortunately. Cultivate is an organization where they go into the vulnerable populations for education, and then racial reconciliation. But it's all these 5 lanes that run through this kind of vehicle called the Hub Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. Well, we've really wrapped our hearts around this organization as a team. So the first % of everything we earn as a team, we donate to the Hub. We are now actually engaging physically, where we serve monthly as a team with the Hub in different capacities, all types of things that we've done. And it's all kind of stemmed from this just vision that I had over the last year, which is, it's time to start living a bigger life and a bigger story for my family too. There's an orphanage in Guatemala we've got involved with that we're both financially supporting, but we're also actually, as a whole family, going on a mission team there when school gets out. So it's like this idea that, stop playing small. I love that Marianne Williamson quote that says you don't do anybody a favor basically by playing small. You were meant to shine, right? So all that to say that, I'm ready to grow, and it's not growing for growing's sake. I want to make a bigger impact in this city and in this world. And I realized that we love Las Vegas through real estate in 2 ways. Number one, when I help you and your family, I'm the best to do it, me and my team and how we roll. we're actually helping and loving our city by making sure that we give you the best results and experience possible, number one. But bigger than that, the more families we help, the more indirect investment we can make into this city to really make a difference, because this organization is unbelievable what they're doing. So yeah, that means I need to grow. And what's the number to that? I don't know. But to keep the standards and the experience that I demand, I don't see how I could get to a team of 50 agents ever. That's just probably not possible. But man, if I can get to 5, 10, 15 agents that are all in on who we are and what we're about, man, we could really make an impact in this city.
I love that you touched on that, because I did look at the website a little bit and I saw that the give back portion of your team. Little bit of about us is, and we're trying to root that into our business as well, is what we're giving back to and make that a part of our brand. My sister did adopt 2 foster kids. They've been a part of our family for a long, long time. So that is very near and dear to our heart. They are a part of our family. My nephew Owen actually has limb differences, so he's missing both of his arms. He has a bowed left leg and a right femur that's non-weight bearing. I'll text you a picture just for perspective. But those are 2 causes that are very near and dear to our heart, and we're trying to incorporate that back into our business and how we give back to our communities and back to your why. Or rooting a business or a purpose into why. Pat, I don't think would be able to give you a definition of why she does what she does. And that's what I'm trying to shed some more light on. And at 62 years old, there's no better time at any point in our lives to kind of root more into that why, into that purpose. And Pat, you work a lot. Pat, you do a great business. Pat, we make a lot of money. But in the big picture, why? Why are we doing that? I don't think she can answer that. So as good as I can with a old dog teaching her new tricks, we're definitely walking down that path of foster care, of limb differences, and how we can root our business into giving back to our community, locally, regionally, or nationally. Love that you brought that up. And actually, can you elaborate, why that community, or, why those causes for you? Is it because they're making the biggest impact on Vegas that kind of root to your heart and your DNA? Or was there a reason that you got so connected with that organization?
Yeah, 2 things. Number one, so it's actually behind the scenes. It's ultimately was started and run by my church that we're really involved with. But why that's so important to me is because I know that every dollar and initiative is stewarded with the highest of integrity, and like there's no waste. So I firmly can trust with confidence that the investment's being used for great every time. So that's part of it. But what I love about it too, and maybe something that you could think about, because you mentioned a couple things that are special to you. What I love about the hub specifically is there's 5 major lanes. And when you're running a team or a brokerage, we used to dabble with like the American Heart Association, or we would do something for foster care. We would do something for the challenge with that is not everybody on the team always aligns, or that doesn't pull on their heartstrings necessarily. But what's cool is the 5 things I unpacked for you. One of those things is going to tug on somebody's heartstrings, or you're just not human, So I love the ability that one team member might love the fact that we support the hub because of the human trafficking component, where another might be the foster care, So that's a big part of it for me. And one thing I'll mention to you that, yes, you guys are looking for this purpose. I don't know if you've read the author Bob Goff. Bob Goff has a handful of books. Unbelievable author. I love his stuff. But he talks about this journey he went through. He had a law practice that was incredibly successful, kind of this what's my purpose for the second stage of my life type process that I've kind of been going through too. But he talks about when he finally started to wake up and look at his business as fundraising, because he had wrapped his heart around such bigger things than his silly little business. And now he woke up every morning with the ability to go fundraise to really make a difference in the world. Like, that's my goal. Is like, I can't say I'm there yet, but man, it would be cool to wake up a number of years from now and be like, hey, I'm fundraising at this point, and just see what happens with that. And I'll tell you, I work with another coach outside of Tom Ferry Coaching. It's called Strategic Coach. It's just an entrepreneurial coaching system. But I love Dan Sullivan, who you probably heard of him. He wrote Who Not How, The Gap and the Gain. Incredible guy. His quote that he said the other day, he said, people start getting old when they run out of future. So, you think about Pat, you mentioned 62 years young, right? But like, you got to have purpose, or like that's when people start aging, is if they run out of future. But it sounds like with your help, you guys are going to clarify what that future is.
And to your point, we're talking about the future. What does that look like? Is it 10? Is it 15? And she'll never stop working. She'll never stop having like this impact on the business, which is not a bad thing at all. But how can we be efficient, lean, mean, hire the right people to create a great customer experience that she can give back more, but still run a very sustainable business? And that's the difference between kind of what she's been doing to what we're doing today, is actually making it a business. And she knows that, and she's all on board for that. But to your point, I am genuinely excited to kind of give her back more life, so she can have more purpose and root in more purpose and give back. And then to your point of growing, what you want to accomplish, that's a byproduct of growing around people that also have the same foundations, that they want to have the same impact on your community. So therefore, if we grow a little bit further, we're still very lean and mean in our process and our systems, but we all can impact that much more to our community. That's a win on all fronts. Right. So that's exciting stuff, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And to your point of the hub as well, that was where our strategy was coming from, to incorporate these different associations that have different impacts on other people, whether it's foster care, limb differences, sex trafficking. Those are all things that people can resonate with, get behind, and I love that it's centrally located within one organization that's supporting a lot of causes. So that's cool stuff. I hope that we can find something in Michigan that's doing very, very similar things. I guarantee you it exists. It just comes down to figuring out who it is, align those beliefs, what we're trying to accomplish, and obviously just create a big collaboration with it and stuff so we can get back more. So.
For you, it might be as simple as you start your own, fund or whatever, but these are the 3 or 4 or 5 completely independent organizations that you guys have wrapped your hearts around, and then, for every $1,000 you get, it gets split 5 ways or whatever. You could totally, fabricate it or manufacture it however you want it to be. But that's awesome, dude. I love that.
It's funny you say that, because I want the Lotz Foundation or whatever, and that they have the control, or this foundation has the control, or nonprofit has the control to be able to delegate those funds, and it's used how it's being used. And that's like the visionary in me to go, hey, Hannah, my wife, this is what I want to do. How do we do it? So it's also probably asking the right questions to the right people, your church, the organization, to say, this is what we're trying to accomplish. How have you guys done this? How have you incorporated that to the foundations of what you guys believe in and how you're giving back? Asking the right questions to the right people. And that's one thing that I've learned from the Tom Ferry community is we're all on the same journey for the most part, whether high or low, but asking the right questions to the right people to get us to where we want to be. Because again, I just turned 32. Me and you were both very, very young guys. We got a lot of life ahead of us, but you're 20 years ahead of me in terms of what I'm trying to accomplish within our business. Why not ask you the right questions? Why not try to get in the same room with you to say, this is where I want to be. I kind of like what you're doing. How did you get there? And I think that's a great question or transition point. Looking back to Matt at 22 years old, 25 years old, or somebody asking you that advice, Matt, I love what you're doing at 40 years old. How should I do that? And there's no perfect advice, but looking at a 25-year-old, what kind of advice are you giving them to shape their life kind of in the same or similar direction? Is it foundation yourself into a why sooner? What does that look like?
Man, that's a loaded question. I think that, there's so many different ways to build the business nowadays, and there's a lot of shortcuts and hacks now in the sense of social media and video and knowledge broker and some tools like that. But I would say that I'm old-fashioned, man. I think I'm an old soul, but I love, there's a Dabo Sweeney interview with Ed Milet. I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's a Ed Milet's podcast. He interviews Dabo Sweeney, who's the football coach at Clemson University. I'm a big Dabo fan. But man, unbelievable podcast. But one question that he said that he gets all the time, he's like, man, I'm at the lobby of this hotel, and all these young, I think he called them PAs, or coaches, assistants, or whatever. These young guys getting into coaching. They come up like, Dabo, man, what's the secret? How do we get on top like you? And he's like, take the stairs. And they're like, what? He's like, listen, I'm going to get on this elevator. I'm going to go up to the 40th floor to my suite and but you take the stairs. And his principle was you got to put in the work, man. You got to build the systems, build the knowledge, build the scripts, build the raving fans. There's no shortcut, man. Just be the first one at the office, the last one to leave. And also keep in mind that I think a lot of agents, and you talk about the 22 to 25-year-old, unfortunately, prove me wrong, 25-year-old, but most of them are work ethic challenged. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, dude, like you got to put in the work. And here's the lie that the world teaches us as we grow up is we're brainwashed into thinking this is a time and effort economy. And in most jobs it is. You know, we go to school. You go to school, you're told when to take a bathroom break, when to go to lunch, when to go home, the bell rings. And when you do this for 18 years to get a job, and then we're told when to clock in, when to clock out, when to take lunch break, when we can take vacation, right? That's time and effort. You work 8 hours, you get a wage. If you're in real estate, you're in a results economy, meaning you don't get paid for time and effort. So hanging out at the office for 8 hours and spending an hour of that at the water cooler or in the break room, you make zero money. Like you get paid for results. That's something else I tell 25-year-old is don't buy in this time and effort brainwashing you got for the first 18 years of your schooling. But here's what it means too, is if you can get results and leave the office at 2 o'clock and go to your kid's ball game, do it. Don't feel guilty because you get paid for results, you know? So that's probably one of the primary lessons I'd try and teach a 25-year-old right now.
Take the stairs. And I'm right in the middle of, you know, the 40, the 50s to like, you know, the younger generations. And I'm constantly getting asked because I went to college, I was a D1 athlete, I did all these things. And this could be a few things like an 18-year-old or a 21-year-old post-undergrad. And even me, like I was told by professors, hey, when you graduate, for perspective, I went to Central Michigan University and I got a healthcare administration degree. And some of these professors had zero work experience in these actual fields. And they said, hey, when you graduate, you don't take a job for anything less than $150,000. And all of us were like, yeah. Newsflash, that never happened for any of us. And the first thing that I started, which I knew I didn't want to be behind a desk and working administrative roles in healthcare systems. So that's why I made a transition or a focus on medical device sales. I started in pharmaceutical sales. I made phone calls. I was more or less a telemarketer selling pharmaceutical drugs over the phone. That's a hard job. And it's very results-based. We were getting paid nothing from an hourly wage, but if you were there and you were wasting your time for what you were getting, quote-unquote, hourly, you were wasting your time. And knowing what I know now about being in real estate, that's the advice that I would give to a 22-year-old, is get a commission-based job. It doesn't matter what you sell. It doesn't matter how you sell it. You're going to learn. You're going to grow. What is going to do for you is to get in that results mindset, to wake up every single day and get done, period. Nowadays, I wake up every single day, Matt, not scared, not fearful, but let's go sell a house. Hey, let's go have a conversation about real estate. Hey, who am I talking to about what we can do and how we're offering it to, how we're different about, other real estate agents in our community. That's what I get excited about. And that's that passion. I had zero passion for medical device sales. I got a lot of great experience from it. But to your point, take the stairs, put in the hard work, actually do things that are going to change your trajectory for the next 10, 20, 30 years. I know for a fact I will always look back on that pharmaceutical role and go, if I didn't do that, would I be here today? The answer is probably no. Right. I think that's great advice. And then two, maybe not all the young people. I think I'm also an exception for a 30-year-old at times. But I think a lot of the people look at our success and go, that's easy. I can do it too. I could be a real estate agent. And even for what social media is telling people to say, oh, we're at an inspection. Oh, we're doing showings today. That is not the reality. And we're trying to give as much reality information or real information to not just buyers and sellers, but also potential real estate agents that want to get into the business. Because I think that if we're holding those things in, it's not a service. We're not providing anybody a service besides dishonesty. Mm-hmm. And again, that's why I think a lot of people look at us and go, what are the facts, Chris and Pat Lotz? What does it mean to buy? What does it mean to sell? And what does it actually mean to be a real estate agent? So, does that make sense?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Any points to build off of that? And I mean, that kind of like builds off of exactly what you were just saying is be authentic. Be true, serve every single person you come into contact with, root in that why, and then at the end of the day, put in the work.
Yeah, no, I think that sums up real estate, man. It's like, people try and complicate it, but at the end of the day, dude, it's hard work. And I say real estate's this simple. People need to know what you do for a living and you're good at it, period. Which means it's a contact sport. You got to talk to more people. But you also got to be, everybody, we say in Vegas, if you don't know 5 realtors, you don't have any friends. Like, everybody's a realtor. But are you the best one they think of? Like, when they think of real estate, do they think of Chris? And if they do, great. If not, you got to sharpen your axe, become the knowledge broker, get better, stay top of mind, communicate more. But that's all work. Like, you can dress it up however you want, but it's work. It's hard work.
Yeah. And that's the craziest thing about, even our business, Matt, is we haven't done a power hour. We didn't even know what a power hour was until we joined Tom Ferry. We haven't made one phone call, and maybe that's been a positive impact on our business. We've never asked for reviews. We've never asked for referrals, but we get crazy reviews and we get crazy referrals. Mm-hmm. So has it been kind of a subliminal or a expectation that we've created throughout our process just to get those referrals and those reviews? Maybe. But where could we be if we actually did a power hour for the past 10 years? Where could we be if we were actually asking for referrals and reviews? Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We're doing it now. And I don't know if I've said this, but I was at Elite Retreat. I booked my trip a week prior because our coach was like, hey, by the way, who's coming? And we said no one. And then I heard a little bit more about it. I booked my trip. I was there for 1 hour, listening to Tom talk, and I'm blowing up our team's group chat. I go, I am fired up. We're going to war. Get ready. I wish we joined Tom Ferry probably 10 years ago. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We're here now. How long have you been a part of Tom Ferry?
So I just saw it the other day. I'm actually in my 6th or 7th year? But yeah, right around 6 years and change. 2017.
I'm sure you're going to say, I'm sure you're going to say yes, but looking back, has that changed your business 10x?
Absolutely, but my answer might be unique. Tom's amazing. My coaches over the years have been amazing, but truthfully, what I would give most credit to is the Chris Lotzes out there, like the ecosystem, the relationships, that has been unbelievable for me. Not just, there's an agent-to-agent referral component, which is a huge pillar of our business now through relationships, but just learning what you do to impact culture, what he does for his farm, what she does for their client experience, and like just team Farnhamizing all those things that what in my context, my clientele, my brand, my personality, but all those ideas that have shaped who we are today. And everything I do, Chris, is all about work-life balance. Like, I want to be a present husband and father. So there's a lot of stuff that we talk about, or Tom teaches, that truthfully, like, God bless him, I think he's amazing. I don't do a lot of that stuff because it doesn't fit the business I necessarily want sometimes. But I take pieces of all these different things I've gotten from all these amazing people to build the business that I want to build, the life by design that Tom talks about. That's different for every person. Mm-hmm. So I give huge kudos and credit to Tom and his ecosystem he's built, because it's absolutely shaped my business or what it is today.
A lot of people will ask us, and a lot of people ask this to anybody, who are you following? Who are you trying to be? Grant Cardone? Ed Milet? And my answer is always this: I love watching all those guys. But I love taking these little things that I think are going to impact me, my life. I don't want to raise a fund. I don't want to start a capital raising company. I want to fundraise to give back to the things that I want to do. That's a little bit different than what Grant Cardone's doing. But I like taking these little things that these guys are doing to incorporate in my business. And we can't do that without community. We can't do that without Tom Ferry, to your point. And Tom said this. I was also in Vegas at a Ryan Pineda event a few weeks earlier, still in Vegas. And one of the speakers says, hey, a selfie with these speakers is pretty cool and all, but the biggest thing that's going to impact your life, not just your business, but your life, is creating 7 genuine connections and relationships with individuals that are going to spread that story a little bit faster. Mm-hmm. And that's where, going into Elite Retreat, I would have loved to meet Tom. I would have loved to meet these, some of the other speakers, Jason Pantana. But at the end of the day, it's creating these genuine connections that I was actually looking for. Who do I want to align myself with? Who do I want to collaborate with? Who's local or regional to us? And, who can impact our business positively? That's what I was thinking about, to your point. So,
yep. Those relationships they're critical. They say, you're a product of your 5 closest friends. You've heard that saying before, but one thing I've tried to take as a priority or intentional in my life is having somebody in my life, a mentor in different areas. Like, who's the husband that I look up to, and how is he speaking into my life? And who's the father I want to be, and how is he speaking into or the financial advisor, or the different areas. So there is no Grant Cardone or Tom Ferry that checks all those boxes. So I have different people in my life that I listen to, I read, I study, whatever, that shape who I want to be in those different areas.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the organization called GoBundance?
No.
So GoBundance, their slogan is Tribe of Millionaires. To be in actual GoAbundance, you have to have a net worth of, now it's going to be $2 million. I'm still on that path, so I'm not necessarily in GoAbundance, but I'm in a group just beneath that that's still affiliated with the group called Ascend or Emerge Supercharged. And there's 6 pillars to GoAbundance. I'm going to butcher all of them, but it's trying to live a big life in all aspects of life. And there's a lot of micro tribes that are called, micro tribe, be a great dad, micro tribe, be a great husband, micro tribe, marketing and content creation, micro tribe, content strategies and content growth, things like that. But the 6 pillars: genuine contribution, genuine relationships, living big, bucket list adventures, I'm going to blank on the now that I'm on the spot, I'm blanking on these last 3. But the point being is living big in all aspects of life. And actually, we could, you know what? I'm just going to search real quick if you got a second.
Yeah. I love it.
So we know what we're talking about.
This is very similar to I told you I'm part of another coaching program called Strategic Coach.
Uh-huh.
Very, very similar. There's a pretty high income threshold to be able to be part of the group. And it's all about he teaches all about the 4 freedoms. Freedoms in time, freedom in relationship, freedom in finances. But if you can truly experience freedom in your time, relationships, and finances, now you have freedom in your purpose.
Yep.
So it's all about building that well-balanced life. Like, yeah, the finances, that's the business part, but you have to create freedom in your time to nurture. And then I love what he teaches. He says there's no rich like relationship rich. But if you don't have freedom in your time and your finances, you can't have freedom in your relationships, and then all that, of course, to fill your purpose. So it's very similar type of principles.
And that financial, for a lot of these guys at least, the finances got them to the table, but the whole reason they're at the table is to live a bigger life. So here are the 6 pillars: age-defying health, a huge focus on fitness and health, authentic relationships, horizontal income. They're more or less just talking about passive income. A lot of the guys do it through real estate investing, syndications, things like that. Extreme accountability. We have Go Pods, so we have 5 guys in our Go Pod that meet weekly over Zoom. One is in Seattle, one is in Austin, Texas, Colorado, Alabama, and then obviously I'm in Michigan. Extreme accountability, bucket list adventures, and finally, genuine contribution. A lot of organizations that are doing this stuff, from what I'm hearing right now, it's a part of the organization that you're incorporated with, and that's one that I'll never stop going to. Whether I come and go with Tom Ferry, I don't think I will. Whether I come and go with other these groups and organizations, I don't think I'll ever leave GoAbundance for those 6 things. The money's great, but if you're not living a fulfilled, great life, what are you even doing? And a lot of the things are the exercises that we're doing within GoAbundance when we're on retreats is rooting yourself in that why and constantly reminding you through, gratitude, why we're living this life. And if your answer is money in GoAbundance, they're like, no, bullshit. What's we need to know exactly what that why is. And we don't even need to know it. You need to know it. So you can live those 6 pillars, and at the on your deathbed, you can look back and go, wow, I lived a big life. And that's pretty powerful and impactful for me to be a part of at 30 years old. And a lot of these guys are, 50, 60, 70, massive net worths, 100 million, 200 million. And I'm able to have these connections.
Way ahead of the game. That's what I've been telling my wife is, I want to build a bigger life and a bigger story, one that I don't want to ever retire from, right? Because if you're truly experiencing those 6 things that you just said, or you're truly experiencing, like I said, if I have true freedom in my purpose, my time, my relationships, my finances, why would I ever walk away from that life? That's when you start dying. You get old when you run out of future. Dan Sullivan says. So, and there's a book, I don't know if you've ever read the book, have you read the Donald Miller book, A Million Miles in 1,000 Years?
No.
So
But I'm gonna write
there's a takeaway in this book, and he basically, I'm just going to paint a picture. I'll just kind of put it in my own words. So imagine like my little girl. Do you have any kids, Chris?
No kids. My wife is 25, so we're kind of like on her timeline right now. We're on the 5-year plan. I think 30 years old for her, so no kids. We got 2 dogs though.
Nice, dude. We had our first kid when my wife was 30, so good plan. But so like my daughter, like she can get caught up. She's the captain of your cheer team, right, at school. She's 13 years old, 13 going on 21. And she's just like, but in her little bubble with her little cheer team girl drama, like this is her life. Like these are big deals to her. And it's because we haven't given her a bigger story, right? So when all she has is her little bubble with her little perfect neighborhood and her little cheer friends, these are problems. But if we give her a bigger life and a bigger story as a family, maybe all of a sudden some of these little teenage drama things aren't such a big deal, which has been a big part. And this is all a takeaway. Shout out to Donna Miller in his book. Like he tells a story of like his friend's daughter's dating this loser, and like this 14-year-old loser boyfriend is like her world. It's because he didn't give her a bigger life and a bigger story. So that's what I told my wife is like, babe, we need to start building a bigger life and a bigger story for my family, which is through our business and all these things. So number one, not one I want to retire from, but what does that do for your relationship with your own kids and everybody around you, right? Everybody gets in on that. And that's going back to that not cheesy, but that Marianne Williamson quote that I love. Like that's what you do. You unconsciously permit other people to have their light shine too when you start building this bigger life and bigger story. So, dude, I resonate big time with everything you just said about that program.
These med device guys, and again, this is no shot at them, and a lot of people are living this life, but you know, when did this dawn on me for something different in my life? I'm in the operating room, I'm having conversation with other med device guys, maybe they're 60 years old, and they're talking about they're on their 3rd marriage, they have no relationship with their kids, and it just dawned on me. I was like, what am I doing? And is this the future that I want for my life? And I'll tell you this, we're working harder, longer, crazier hours than I ever did with med device, and that's saying something because I got phone calls at 3 in the morning, at 9 o'clock at night, at midnight saying get here or the case isn't yours. But I don't realize that, and I don't feel that. And if I feel it, it's one thing. I don't want to be doing this stuff, but to your point, you know, I want to build something that's sustainable, that does not force my mother to retire, that can continue to allow us to live the life the way that we want to live it. And speaking of, I wanted to end with this, and we might as well end with this. You already touched on it a little bit, but when life is over for you, how do you want to be remembered? Again, you touched on it a little bit, but thinking back, thinking forward, when life is over, how does Matt want to be remembered? Massive question. And take your time. Take your time.
That's cool, man. I mean, it's probably something I've never actually spoken to, but I'm sure all of us have thought about that. But man, I think at the end of the day, I just really hope that I have inspired countless people to just live like, I don't know, just live the maximum potential of their life that they could. I hope that they see me max out my life as a husband, as a father, as a community leader, you know, but all the way down to just a friend, like somebody who was trustworthy, that was the real deal, was authentic and genuine. You know, I mean, truthfully, for the most important thing to me would be that they thought I lived a God-honoring life. Like that's my ambition as a Jesus follower. Man, I just want to inspire others. But here, I guess here's what I would say. Bring it all home to this: is I have a passion, Chris, that I really want people to realize that this sounds very worldly, but I don't mean it that way. It's like you can have it all. So many people think that you got to choose the family or the business, like the income or the relationship with your kid. Like that's baloney. You can have it all. Now, it might be at some cost. Could I make more money than I make? Yes, I could. But would it be at the expense of my relationship with my wife and my kids? Yeah, it would be. Like you just, nobody finishes life with a finished symphony, right? Like we all die with stuff to still do. So everybody dies with an unfinished symphony. like once we come to grips with that, you just can't do it all. You got to make choices and own your choices. And I hope when I die, somebody says he owned his choices and he made great ones. You know, that balance between all those things is really what I want to be remembered for.
Not just saying this, but from what I've heard when you were talking on stage to the brief 50-minute conversation, and two, I went in with an idea of, and I'll rattle off some of these questions, the kind of foundation where I wanted to go with this. One, I wanted to touch on what your speaking point was, but, you know, what were you doing before real estate? What does your team look like? How'd you get started? What's a day in the life? What do you do besides? I know you're a big golfer, but the fact that we had such a genuine conversation, I think people are going to walk away realizing that, for you and for me, to go, wow, this is who Matt is. And that's the one thing that I'm really trying to do, is the authentic relationships and just being authentic. I've been through that social media fluff to kind of portray what that image is. But again, based on what I saw on stage, based on this brief 50 minutes, based on what I kind of thought we were going to talk about to what we're talking about right now, I think the authenticity, off the charts. Not just saying that, and I genuinely appreciate the connection and this conversation.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to getting to know you better, man.
We'll throw some of your links in the description below. We're going to put it on, if you're okay with it, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Closing out, how can anybody around the country, local to Vegas, get in contact with you and your team?
Yeah, awesome, man. So I don't know if it'll show up where you post this, but in the bottom left of my picture here, it says @Matt Farnham. So that's my Instagram handle or Facebook or whatever. So pretty much on everything social, it's Matt Farnham or Team Farnham LV for our team. And then our email is pretty easy. It's team@teamfarnham.com. Teamfarnham.com's website, pretty simple. So yeah, anything you need in Vegas, man, our team will be honored to guide you through that process. If you're a realtor looking to get into the business, as Chris mentioned too, we are looking for like-minded, aligned individuals that want to grow with us. So yeah, we'd love to connect.
Sweet. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate the time. You said it a little bit ago. I look forward to continuing this conversation, to connecting more, growing the relationship, not just saying that, truly believe that. Thank you for the time, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, bro. Thanks, man. Great to meet you, Chris.
Have a great day. All right, bye.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to use those like, comment, and share buttons below. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel @Lotz Real Estate for more helpful home buying and selling tips. Want a free comparable market analysis? Scan that QR code on your screen or visit our website at www.patlotz.com and fill out the request form. There's lots to love in Livingston County.